12 months on and 7 generations later, has the Fold 7 held up? Let's find out. Let's go. Here's the thing. Most of what needs to be said about the Galaxy Z Fold 7 has already been said. Whether in reviews by other people or my own personal reviews, everything is kind of known by now about how you use this thing and what it's like to be using it. It is, by a distance, Samsung's most complete foldable experience as of yet. But with the Fold 8 series on the horizon, Samsung's Unpacked now being announced, you might be curious as to how Samsung's 7th generation foldable, well technically 8th, they had the Fold Special Edition, I digress, has held up after 1 full year of usage. Well, the thing is, everything is still here. Nothing has really changed from a review done 2 months in versus what it's done now. There are some subtle things though that you probably should be aware of. It's still incredibly lightweight and incredibly thin for the form factor and design that it is. Using it narrow with one hand is incredible. Like, you've got a fully functional slab smartphone on the front there. The fact that it only weighs 215 grams as well leans into that and makes it feel just like a regular slab smartphone. It's still quite incredible to me every time I pick it up off a flat surface, how light it actually is to hold and use. Logically, looking at it, you'd think a phone that unfolds into a tablet would weigh more, but it just doesn't. That front display is just so convenient for quick, regular smartphone interactions, and the ratio that Samsung have made it this year is kind of perfect for regular smartphone usage. And then knowing I've got the inner display to unfold onto means that I've actually got the perfect scenario here. Anything more demanding, I have that inner display and I can utilize it. The square form factor, or the squarish form factor of the inner display, does make some apps a little bit awkward to interact with in that way, but multitasking, beautiful. The sturdiness and durability of the hinge means it's great for things like flex mode. The other day I was just folding the washing in the laundry and having it propped up at the angle where it could be looking back at me without having to crane my neck around meant that I could easily fold the washing, but also consume some content and catch up on some World Cup analysis. But the thing is, we know all this already. All of that stuff around the hardware, the weight, the design, it's all a known commodity by now. And to be honest, from a foldable sense, hardware's never really been Samsung's issue. Over the last 7 generations, they've refined it, optimized it, reduced the weight, and made it more regular to use day to day. That tactile experience of holding the foldable has always been first class, but it's just been made better over time. The issue that always rears its head over longer term usage is software. Okay, so something that just happened to me highlights both the best and the worst part of the foldable experience. The best part is that you can use flex mode and use all the entertainment that you want with the big apps that you normally would use them with. So like if I'm working here and I wanted to catch up on some YouTube and potentially watch some of the World Cup highlights through YouTube, easy. I can set the phone down in flex mode and away I go. Even the whole flow, from having it on the cover screen for choosing the video you want to watch, unfolding it to the bigger experience and watching it on the big screen, to then setting it down on the table in flex mode for convenience and hands-free viewing, nothing beats it. But where it starts to go awry is the third-party situation. Take the app that is broadcasting the World Cup here in Australia, SBS. There is no native support for flex mode within that app. And that's fine for the most part. Samsung do build software in the advanced features to force it and like strong arm it into working. But even if Samsung forced the flex mode to work, the app itself still needs to be resizable and suit the large screen Android format, something SBS just doesn't do. No matter which setting I tinkered with, no matter which toggle I tried to turn on, I just couldn't get it to work. Whenever it got into that folded state, the scaling was wrong and the setting to watch the video just never allowed me to be pressed. Weird way of saying that. Also too, whilst the video was already playing and I popped it into flex mode, it just went back to the previous screen for some reason. Very frustrating. Something that a regular user would not accept. I'm not a regular user. So for me, as I was sort of going through it, I had a bit of a light bulb moment to fix it. I figured I could log into SBS on the browser and then use Samsung's in-browser video player, which I know works regardless, to then put it into flex mode. And absolutely, it worked perfectly. The thing is though, you shouldn't have to be that clued on to find that solution. You don't need to have a workaround. It should just work from the start. And that is pretty much still in part an issue with the foldable experience. 95% of this experience is unbelievable. In fact, that 95% when it's working makes up for a lot of the other stuff that a slab phone can't do. But the thing is that 5% when it doesn't work the way it should, that's the part that you can't quite escape that. And you shouldn't need to have a degree in oneui to be able to solve it. It should just work from the start. I think that's the problem that Samsung still has to solve when it comes to foldables. That isn't to say, though, that the hardware is impeccable. Two things have kind of stuck out for me over my 12 months of using it that isn't quite 100% perfect. The first is the wobble. This thing will just wobble on a table like crazy. Because of how intense this camera protrusion is, like if I stick this here, like that is a wild protrusion of a camera. If I hold it this way too, you can just see how much that sticks out. Like if you're working at a desk and you've got the Fold 7 flat next to you, forget about using it flat because it's not flat. It's just going to wobble from corner to corner. And it's actually quite frustrating to use it in this way. You will have to pick it up. Make no bones about it. I use the word bones because as I was writing the script for this video, Bones was playing on the TV behind me. It might be a small percentage of how you use your phone if you're someone who works at a desk, but it's worth calling out because it definitely can impact how you use it. The second part of the hardware that you'll absolutely notice is the crease. This is almost unavoidable. When it was new, it was near enough non-existent. Fresh out of the box, you didn't really notice a crease there. But as the predominant state of the Fold 7 is closed, well, what do you expect is going to happen when a piece of glass is folded in on itself? A crease is going to form. Like, what's that? That's a crease in my skin because my point is that it's likely to become more apparent the more you use the phone. But it's pretty imperceptible to see the crease when you're using it in the normal way, which is straight on. Any usage outside of that, like if you're showing it to someone else at an angle, you will notice it. But straight on, it just disappears. I don't think it's a reason to avoid foldables. It's just worth highlighting. When it comes to cameras, I think you will notice something here, especially if you're a slab smartphone user, like an Ultra user, you will notice the hardware deficiencies. I've been using both the Z Fold 7 and the S26 Ultra alongside each other, and there is an undeniable difference between the hardware of the sensors, but also the hardware of the form factor. Having used both, I definitely prefer the hardware sensor experience coming from the back of the S26 Ultra here. The telephoto lens, the increased apertures, all makes a much better overall experience when you're capturing, especially from an output point of view. But the experience of the Fold 7 is a little bit different. It provides you stuff that a slab smartphone just will never be able to do. If you're not going to pixel peep and you don't care too much about telephoto cameras, then it might actually suit you better because it's very flexible. Yes, pun intended, in how it can work. After 12 months, there's still a few features that I love using and love capturing things using it. Flex mode has been great. Rear cam selfie to capture photos of the family. And then also some software features that Samsung have sprinkled in with new software updates, like dual recording. Last weekend, we went away as a family to a football tournament on the Sunshine Coast that my son was playing in. Just a side note, it was the worst run football tournament I've ever been a part of in all my years of going to football tournaments and even administering some myself. It was terrible, but got to see my son play and he scored a banger of a goal. So in some ways, it kind of was worth it. The accommodation we stayed at had a mini golf course, which was so much fun. What was great is I could set the Fold down into flex mode and capture some really unique shots, whether it be shots of my son or daughter playing off and teeing off from the start of the hole, or the ball just going into the hole, or whether I wanted to take advantage of some of the software features, which was the dual recording I mentioned earlier, where I could set the phone down, use the selfie camera and the rear camera at the same time, and capture me teeing off, but also putting the ball in the hole at the other end. In terms of a point and shoot, it's still very, very capable. That main camera in particular can give off some really crisp, vibrant shots, and that larger sensor gives off some really nice depth of field, and it's going to just capture some really good stuff. Like you can pick up your phone, take a photo, and it'll be great. The ultra-wide camera obviously was improved, and that takes some good shots, but the one where the whole thing kind of gets let down a bit is that 3x camera, still being 10 megapixel, but still being an incredibly small sensor size. Looks like it's going to stick around for another year too, which is pretty disappointing, but it's just something we're going to have to live with if you want the foldable Samsung experience. What hasn't really changed too much over the 12 months of usage is the software and the performance. Well, it actually has. It got upgraded to oneui 8.5, which brings a host of cool stuff, which I've got videos talking about on the channel already. But one change that has kind of changed how you interact with the Fold 7 is to do with the notification panel and your quick panel. and it only impacts the inside display, not the outside. Part of the notification and quick panel experience is if you drag down the notification panel, you can swipe across to get to your quick panel. Works on slab smartphones like that, works on the cover screen of the Fold 7 like that. It doesn't, however, work like that when you open up the Fold and you pull down the notification panel and swipe across. Well, you can't swipe across. It won't let you do it. You have to pull down the notification panel independently. You can mitigate this if you want by going to the old way the quick panel used to work, which was a combined quick and notification panel together. But that changes it on the cover screen too. So not necessarily how I envisaged using it, but it does kind of fix it a little. Outside of that, the foldable software is still outstanding and a pleasure to use. The taskbar, the edge panel, the multitasking features, all incredible and all give a really nice polish to how you interact with a foldable. Something still so great about having the cover screen with something you want to view and then opening it into the inner display and it just launches it straight into the point you were at. Love that. Realistically, nothing has changed too much from my review last year when it comes to the software. So you can go check that out to catch that. And then performance-wise, well, again, no real change. Surprise, surprise, a flagship chipset from 2025 still performs great 12 months later in 2026. No one was ever going to question that. It's still a great performing phone. The only part that hasn't really held up is the battery. I think this is where Samsung really need to address capacity. Chipsets are getting more powerful. AI tasks are getting more demanding. Batteries are just not going to be lasting long enough if Samsung refuse to increase their capacities. I'm starting to see it a little bit now with the S26 Ultra, but the Fold 7 was where I really saw it over the last 12 months. That lack of capacity does make a difference. It's fine, but I don't think fine is actually fine enough anymore in 2026. I think it needs to be good to be fine, which means a capacity jump is necessary. There's lots of rumors that that's going to happen, but obviously we'll wait and see for Unpacked. But also would be great too is charging to be faster. Having 65-watt fast charging on the S26 Ultra has drastically improved that charging experience. So I think the Fold 7 needs a bump as well, or Fold 8, whatever it's going to be, will need that bump. Bottom line, the Galaxy Z Fold 7's biggest advantage that it has was the increase to the form factor. And by increase, I mean Samsung actually putting an emphasis on reducing the weight, reducing the thickness, and also making it more, I guess, like a regular slab smartphone when it's closed and still giving you that foldable experience that only they can provide. That change with the Fold 7 made it more physically accessible. And I don't mean accessible from a price point of view because it wasn't. I mean more from a tactile point of view. If you're used to regular slab smartphones, then you can access this pretty much in the same way because it's basically the same size and weight and form factor when closed. Because it reduced the barrier to entry. People who used to complain about them being too thick or too heavy no longer had that excuse anymore. They can now kind of move on and find something else to complain about, I guess. It didn't really radically change the software advantage though. Samsung's done a really great job with foldable software over the last few generations to really solidify them as the leader. And the Fold 7 didn't really stretch that advantage out, it just kind of maintained it. But with that too, it also didn't really change too much about the foldable pitfalls that Samsung customers have been complaining about. The battery life, not quite up to standard. The cameras, albeit improved, still not improved to the point where the Ultra consumers are happy. And even though support from third-party developers have gotten better, it still doesn't have the polished app experience that you might expect or hope for out of your foldable experience. That's not to say that it's bad. I love foldables and I love the Fold 7. So much to like about what Samsung have made here. And I really hope that they take what was good about this and give it a new lease on life when the Fold 8 or Fold 8 Ultra, whatever it might be called, comes out in a few weeks' time. I, for one, am very excited to see what it brings. I hope you are too. Make sure you hit subscribe to Tech with Benefits down below. Go check out other videos about the Fold that I've made. Look out for the new ones, and I'll see you guys in the next one. You!